PG. Are you starting it?
I was waiting for you to look away from the screen.
Well, I heard the click of the button.
It is PG.
It is.
And PG stands for
parental guidance. It does?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, it does.
And PG-13 means you need 13 parents guiding you.
13 parents, why? Sorry.
So we're back and still PG. Hopefully we were PG before also. But season 2, yeah.
Hello, welcome to Worst Enemies.
Yes, we're here. Brought to you by KBR The Torch.
Yes.
Follow them on Instagram for updates as this goes on. It's been kind of a long time coming to actually get in the studio and record.
We've been busy.
But we're here now.
Yeah.
We're here for you. And
we have a guest with
Hello.
us.
You just harmonized.
Oh my gosh. Let's start a band.
I think you've been on the podcast now
I have.
thrice.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is true. Yes,
Yeah.
this is my third time.
Molly, how does it feel?
It feels great. I
Does
feel
it feel-
very honored to be on this amazing podcast with
That's
you,
cool.
beautiful people.
So good. I'm glad you can't see us.
Pardon my French, but thank you.
Okay.
I don't think we understand that. Anyway, all right. So a few things, like housekeeping things.
Yes.
We have a schedule that we are hoping to follow, kind of similar to the one we had last semester.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go over the schedule?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same format, I guess you could say, as last semester, which was basically like 4 topics that we're going to keep going through. The first one that we're going to be doing, which is this week's, is movies and such. That'll be one. I don't remember what the other ones were.
Story time,
Story time is going to be the second
which
one.
we had last time as well.
But we're going to have a new one now, because even though, well, it's season 2 now, you guys. It's time to get real.
Yeah,
We
you
get
know,
up a
season 2 is real stuff. Watch any show.
It's true. Gravity Falls season 2 got intense.
Oh
Anyway,
my gosh.
so for the third topic is real talk,
But real is bold and in italics.
so you know.
Yeah.
Real talk. And then the fourth one is
Anything goes.
randomized
Thing.
for everyone.
For everyone.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
do we want to talk about like what each of them are? Like real talks is like, I mean, it's
That
kind
does
of
need explaining. Well,
yeah. Well, just because a lot of our past podcasts, I mean, a lot of them are about like movies or like fun stuff or games, which is great, and we're still going to be doing that. But there's also a lot of stuff like that Marlise and I like personally have like personal investment in, and things that we deal with in our lives that are really important aspects to us, and then also like just this generation also that we'd like to talk about, and it's gonna be real stuff, and it'll be good, and hopefully it'll start a good dialogue for our parents.
Yeah.
What up, Mom? Hi, Dad.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mr. Myers.
Hello.
Mrs. Myers. Molly's here too.
Miss you guys.
Yeah. So we're gonna be delving into some deep personal topics, and we're excited to
Yeah.
do it with all you
It'll
4
be-
people who are listening.
Yeah, I'm glad that your
5.
parents will get to know me more, and my parents will get to know you more.
Yeah.
There we go.
And maybe also our brothers. But maybe
And
not.
me. I'm
And,
gonna
I
listen.
know.
yeah, and Molly
And
and,
Molly.
Megan.
Duh.
Oh, hello,
Seattle.
hello, Megan, if you're listening. Oh, she's actually in Italy right now.
What the heck?
What?
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao,
Pardon my
Megan.
Italian, but hello.
But pizza.
So today's topic.
Yeah.
Let's talk about today's topic. So we figured, what's the best way to, make a comeback episode, season 2?
Call it a comeback. Oh, sorry.
That's copyright. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh.
So what we're going to do, and what we're going to talk about is Wait, what were we
We're
gonna call it?
basically gonna put ourselves on a pedestal.
Yes, because
And
we're
take
the greatest
things
human
that
beings.
have actually been made by
Professionals.
professionals and have been invested in and have made lots of money. And we're gonna say, hey, but we could do that better.
Because we feel like we have such a rapport with the Hollywood industry that
Yes.
they're gonna listen to us.
You know how
Yeah.
many books I've read? You know how many books I've skimmed on the topic?
True. I hope none of our professors hear this. But yeah, we're gonna be
This isn't perfect.
calling this Maybe We Could Do It Better. Or I don't know, maybe we'll call it something else. But that's basically the gist of what we're doing.
Yes. So we'll be doing a show and a movie each. And then whatever Molly has to say in between, which will be a beautiful gift.
Because Molly just recently finished all the
yes.
seasons. Right, you finished
Yes.
it. Oh yeah, I was
Stranger
yeah,
Things.
that was
I
like-
finished.
Within a month.
It was.
Yeah.
I did not want to conform to the patterns of this world.
Romans
And I did not,
12:2.
Romans 12 I did not want to watch Stranger Things because everyone else was watching it, but some of my friends convinced me to watch it, and I finished, and it was great. But they're going to talk about it, and I'm just going to add my
Marley's
2
who's gonna
cents in
roast it.
because we've been meaning to
wherever
talk
I
about
will.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just be the little, fly on the wall for this conversation.
Love it. All right.
Wow.
Let's get this party started right. That's also
Who wants?
copyright.
Do you want
I'm
to
gonna
start?
flip
or
a
do you want me
coin.
to start? Okay, we're gonna
She's
flip
going
a
to
coin.
flip her
I
virtual
picked
coin
tails.
on her phone.
Yeah, it's not a real.
Tails
coin.
always wins. I'm calling it now.
Heads one.
Oh, sorry.
All right, whatever.
If you want tails to win, Marley, so you can go first.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Should we start with our TV shows, or let's start with movies?
Okay.
Because my movie's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I don't like this movie. I think it's a great movie that's been made, and I'm stoked for the second one because it's coming out. Do you know when it's coming out?
No idea.
Okay, it's
I'm
coming out soon.
so
They
excited.
finished
They did?
shooting it.
What?
Yeah,
I did not
Or
know
they
that.
Easy
start-
to make those
they
movies.
started
okay.
shooting.
Well, besides
no.
Because a lot of
it's.
it's
Yeah,
VFX.
yeah. For reference, this is in my top 2 of one of my favorite movies
What's
ever.
your favorite movie?
Avatar.
Oh, right.
Avatar, and then
Yes,
this
and
movie
then
you're
A
gonna
Quiet
talk about.
Place,
Yeah.
which there's just one. Oh, should we have sound like a soundboard?
Dun, dun.
Molly, can you be our soundboard?
Sure.
Okay.
What A Quiet Place is just.
I get it.
It took Marley's a while to understand what I was doing.
Yeah, it's just the one thing, because if you haven't seen it, it's about
I'm so sorry.
it's about John Krasinski's family. Sorry, and I don't actually know his Does he have a name in the
His
movie?
name in the movie is Man.
His name
or
is
no, it's
Dad.
like John or something. It's like they.
I don't think they have names. I think it was literally like man and woman or something.
Yeah, it's
'cause
like
they
the
don't have-
Berenstain Bears, like brother
actual
and
names,
sister and
yeah.
mama and papa. But anyway, throughout the whole thing, the thing is like you can't make a noise because these aliens can detect the noise and they'll come get you and kill you. So they have to be quiet. Hence the name. It's very ingenious. I don't know how they came up with that. That might be another thing I'd change. No, we'll see.
It's fair.
But his daughter is deaf, and she, throughout the movie, they kind of show the movie through her perspective in terms of like it's just completely quiet when she turns off her hearing aid or whatever. Or no, she doesn't have a hearing aid until
Her dad is trying to make one for her that
Yeah.
works, but none of them work.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you kind of get the movie through her perspective, so it's quiet. And there's a part at the end, spoiler if you haven't seen it, he dies. And he dies because his children are trapped in a car, and the car made a noise, and the monster's coming to get them, and he just screams for like, it feels like it's very long, because you're just watching John Krasinski scream, and it feels like awkward to me. But I really think that what I would have changed was just to like cut all the sound from that, like it's from her perspective, because their relationship is really like the big one in the movie. And I think it would have, one, like, been less awkward of just seeing John Krasinski. Like, it's not even, like, a dramatic shot. It's kind of just, like, a cowboy shot, and he's just like, ah! And then the monster goes and gets him and kills him. Even if he was, like, if the dad was like, hello? Someone's calling me. If the dad was, like, in pain or something, and he, like, could barely even talk, but he, like, mustered up enough, like, oomph to scream, and you see that, and he's, like, in pain. I don't know. That was just my thing.
That would have made more sense if he was, like, kind of on the ground.
Yeah.
It would make sense as to why they would make the noise. Like,
Yeah.
let you hear the noise. Because it would have been... I feel like
Yeah.
if he was injured and it was silent,
Yeah.
you would have been like, was that even
Yeah.
loud enough?
Yeah.
So, sad day.
Sad day.
a
But
good
it's
movie.
okay. It's his first one, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
The little Jim boy's growing up. He's a man.
Jim, James, Jimothy.
Okay.
Wait, a question.
Answer.
Did you watch that scene with the sound off? Later did you go and try and watch it with
No.
the sound off?
Should I? That's a good idea.
I think I want to now because I
Okay.
want to see how that would
Yeah.
sound. Because I think it's a good idea. I just want to
Yeah.
see it.
Also, I'm not going to talk about this at all, but if anyone's seen the movie Passengers, look up Passengers, like, would work if it was in a different order. I think that's really true, and it kind of works. There we go.
It was
Passengers,
Nerd
the one with
Passengers
Chris
with
Pratt.
Chris Pratt. And
Nerd Rider 1, I think, was a YouTuber who
Oh,
did
nice.
that video.
Yeah.
It was either that or it was Lessons from the Screenplay.
Yeah.
It's either one of those two guys. Shout out to
super.
you. You guys are cool.
Yeah. Be
If
on our
you're listening.
podcast.
They have, one of them has a podcast. It's really cool. Anyway, why did you make... Okay, I
How's
am
it
going to
pass?
talk about my movie.
Okay.
So, hello, everyone. I'm just going to say this movie because it's...
Hello, George Lucas.
Oh, maybe I should talk...
Oh, I thought you were. I'm sorry.
No, I am talking about the most
Oh.
recent movie that I saw, which was For a Class. Hadn't seen it before. I was excited to watch it. Watched it, and I think it's fine. I just, American Graffiti. This is the movie that I'm talking about. Have you seen it, Molly?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't know anything about
Don't.
it.
No, you should. I think people should see it once.
It's old, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's made in 1973, right? But it's
In the 70s, but it takes place in the 60s.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually
quick
wouldn't mind watching it.
/ summary.
So it's basically about these this group of like friends in a small
They're-
town in California,
Modesto, California.
I know Modesto.
and you know
Yeah, you
Modesto.
I know
Is he
Modesto.
nice? I'm kidding.
No, okay.
And it's just basically about like their last day in high school for like two of the main characters because the next day they're leaving for college.
Uh-huh.
So yeah. What?
I think it's their last day of summer.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry.
But
So
It's
they're
the
not
last day of
at,
summer.
not at school.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the high school has started. The high school started school, and some of them are about to go off to college
Oh,
the
I
next
see,
day.
I see, I see.
And so it takes place during one night.
Okay.
And one of like the main character, I think he's the main character, but
Kurt?
it's an ensemble piece.
It's
but
an ensemble.
one of the main characters, Kurt, like doesn't want to leave. He'd rather like stay home. And then like the other main character, who's Ron Howard, yeah boy,
Ronnie Howard.
he's a director. He do
He's
you
just
know
on Happy Days. If you've seen Happy Days, he's
Oh.
Richie.
Oh.
Bryce Dallas Howard's
Yeah.
father?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's
So-
crazy.
Good day.
Yeah, and like
Whoa.
his character is struggling with he wants to leave, but he kind of should stay because he has a girlfriend and like all that stuff. So I mean, I wrote it down because honestly it's like it's honestly the most recent movie that I've seen. I saw it like 3 days ago. But also I love coming of age YA stuff. That's what I really want to do. That's what I want to write. And so I was excited to watch it. Natalie gave me a very good introduction to
sorry.
it. No, you did, because you were like, I mean, and this could just be like a generational thing, but you know, it's one of those movies that like not a lot happens. It's like a lot of dead space in between it. And while I was watching it, I just remember feeling like this would have been a great ending to like a TV show. That's what I said. Like, because the characters had it. The characters were interesting, but the fact is, like, it was about their last day of summer. And it's like, well, I kind of would have liked to know, like, what their days were before that, you know? Like, why couldn't this have been, like, a TV show, like a Happy Days kind of thing or something? And then this would have been, like, the last movie. Because, like, it had a lot, like, I really like movies or just, like, books where, like, these teenagers are living in this world and they know it's going to end soon. And just the realization of that. I really enjoy that. Just, I like those kinds of stories, and American Graffiti was good. I liked it. I like it more as thinking about it as a documentary of what it was like to live in that time.
In the 60s.
But how I would have changed it, I guess, is, I think I would have wanted to put more before the movie happened.
Because then you're more invested in the characters and you kind of understand why. Like, we don't know in terms of, like, character analysis. We don't really know, like, why the characters are the way they are. What's their ghost from the past? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And
What's their flaw? I don't. Well, like, I can kind of assume based on how I see them now, but it's like,
It's harder to relate then, too,
Yeah.
because you just see them for brief.
I'm not, like, super invested.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And plus, like, nothing really happens in
Yeah.
the movie.
There's a part at the end where one of the characters basically explains everything that happens, and it sounds like if you're like, there's a movie and there's this and there's this and there's this and then this happens and this happens, I would have been like, whoa, that's crazy. And that's what I thought, or one of our friends pointed that out, and I was like, and she was like, that's interesting, like that she explained all that, but it was like so underwhelming.
And all that stuff happened.
Yeah.
And we watched it happen.
Yeah, so why
But
are they going back and
or just like it sounds cool,
Yeah.
but it was like boring. Like there's a part where like the guy's car gets like stolen.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like I
mean,
guess this
we
is
didn't see
happening
the
now.
car get
Like
stolen.
and honestly, like there's really no consequence also at the end, which is another thing I didn't like about it. Because like there's one like
Harrison
the character,
Ford doesn't even die.
I know.
Harrison Ford's in the movie?
He's in it, yeah. He
He's
wears
a
a
young-
cowboy hat.
That's so
He's
funny.
like the best part.
Wait, how
His
he's
name is
pretty
Bob.
young in the movie?
Yeah, his name is Bob Falfa.
His name is Bob Falfa.
It was one of his first movies.
That's crazy.
It was really good, but like, yeah, it didn't have any like consequence, and because there's like the character Kurt who like he ends up with this gang at some point called the Pharaohs, and then just like nothing happens.
It feels like there's not much that you take away from a movie like that. You kind of just watch it and you're done.
And I definitely feel like it's just a complete generational thing because you know, there's movies that are coming out now that we understand that people probably like who watch that
that's
movie are
true.
like, I don't get it. You know, like maybe 8th grade or something.
Yeah.
Or like I think it was you that was talking about it. A Quiet Place. Or no, whoa, Good Place. The Good Place. Have you seen The Good Place? Was I talking to you about
I've
this?
seen some of it.
How like that? A lot of that is like there's a lot of today's slang in it, so it's funny for us. But part of me watching it the first time, like watching the first season, I was like, but this is gonna be like it's tied to its time, and it's not gonna be like one of those, like yesterday Camille called American Graffiti evergreen, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with, but I really do like that term for a movie, like or anything.
I definitely do think that it's. I don't know if you agree with me, so I want to hear what you have to say. But like, when class we were talking about how American Graffiti is kind of like it. I mean, when I say it's a generational thing, I only mean that because of how much like dead space there is about how like there isn't
That's
a
how
lot of
movies
stuff
are
that
shot.
happens. Yeah. So but I definitely think that it's a movie where like I related to watching it, and so I think that that's. Do you agree that it's like a movie that kind of any generation can watch?
This was my thing. I didn't want to say it in class because I didn't really like care enough to get into a conversation about it, and I hadn't really thought it through. But I think I do think that to some extent you can relate to it. Like, I didn't like super relate to it, but I was like, yeah, okay, I guess, yeah, that's a like something similar to a problem I've had. But I think the problem was how it was being approached in class as like one of the only movies that does that, which isn't true. Like, they're like, oh, this movie, it's like the only one. It's not. Like, there are a lot of movies that do that, and they're not like as like well known as this one. Like, I've heard of this movie a decent amount of times before, but I think you can, anyone can get something from it, but there's not a lot of movies that don't do that. Unless it, like good movies.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a terrible movie, like, no one's gonna want to get anything out of that, but that's like what makes a good movie, is like if it makes you feel something and you're like, oh, that I can relate, or I'm invested in this.
And that's the tea. Can we call
as Todd Pickett said?
I told him to say that. Is that not the funniest thing ever? He came up to us and asked. Sorry. Well, side note. He came up to us and asked before he was going up. He was like, I want to say something, but like I want to, like something the kids say. What's like slang that you guys would say or something like that?
That's amazing.
And I couldn't think of anything because he wanted to say like listen. Like, how do I say listen, but like in a way that the kid, like a slang way. And I was just like, say that's the tea. And he loved it. And he went up and he literally said it. I thought it was so funny.
That was your idea.
This was at Tory Conference.
Yeah, Tory Conference.
Those of you who don't know.
And then I told him after, he was like, yeah, it was a hit. And I was like, next time you add sis at the end and you're set. And he was like, okay, I'll work up to that. And I thought that was so funny.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, that was
excited for that.
I told him to.
Molly,
wow.
You're a hero. You're a hero to the people.
I'm telling you, you
so
were the
funny.
backbone of that conference.
No.
You were.
Molly was on the Tory Conference team, and she did great. Her whole team did great.
Rephrase it.
But
Molly
Molly did great.
ran the entire Tory
She
Conference.
definitely did not.
Tory Conference? Molly Conference.
That could
Well,
be
actually,
really bad.
Actually, it would be called Larson Conference.
Yeah, because Molly Conference has other. Okay, anyway.
Next.
All right, next.
Talk about your
show.
Talk about your
We
TV
don't
show
talk
that
about
you.
drugs on this podcast.
You said it.
This
not
is
me.
PG, Molly. Oh my god. Oh my god. I mean, oh my god. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. Mom, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Talk about your TV
Go,
show.
Natalie.
Okay, my TV
Roast
show is Once Upon a Time.
Oh.
Have you seen it?
I've never seen it, but I've heard a lot about it, and I've always been intrigued. But
What
never
have you
watched
heard
it.
about it? What have you heard about it?
That it's they're all fairy tale characters.
Well, yeah.
And that it's crazy and weird.
Yes.
Is basically the gist of what I've heard.
That is basically it. You're so tall.
I'm sorry. I just adjusted my chair, so I'm sorry for that noise. I felt
Is that
really
a challenge? Is that a power move?
I put it all the way up.
I'm all
Let's
the
stand
way
up, Marlisa.
I'm with the two tallest people in the world, so I feel like I need to be a little taller to assert my dominance.
Okay.
Wow.
Well,
Once upon a time.
yeah, they're all so. I actually haven't seen all of it because I stopped watching it because it got terrible. Sorry, Adam
I think you're the one who
Horowitz.
told me that you like started it, but it got so crazy and bad
The
that you
first,
stopped.
I think it was like the first 4 or 5 seasons were pretty good. I think 5 was getting like kind of weird and like really lacking. I think that they did a really good job. Well, first of all, it was hard for me to start watching it because I thought it was dumb. I was like, oh, they're just like changing all these characters and that's dumb. But it was actually, I liked it a lot when I first started watching it. And it was really cool how like all these characters were connected and there's like, oh, but like this person's dad was married to this person and oh my gosh. And it's cool seeing like the characters grow because there's one character in the first season who's like terrible. But honestly, okay, I'm going to say the names because this has been out forever.
But yeah, I think it's over.
Regina's,
so
it is over. Regina is the evil queen, and she's the worst in the first season, which is like not in terms of like her acting, like she's great,
Right, like her character.
but her character is the worst. But her arc is the best by far, and it's so strong, and it's consistent. I think. With other characters like Rumpelstiltskin, it's like he never arcs.
Yeah. He's my favorite, though.
He's funny. He's a good actor too. But he just never arcs. He kind of always goes back, and like it works a few times. I think because you're
By
like
the 20th
because like you're
time?
invested. You're like, oh, will he this time? Oh, he doesn't. But he will this time because there's no way he's gonna mess up again. Oh, but he did. Oh, but there's no. Yeah, you can only like care. Like you're just like, I don't even care anymore. This is dumb.
Yeah.
And then it got kind of too confusing with the family tree, and
Everyone was related.
yeah, and the thing about shows with like supernatural stuff, not that it's supernatural, but it's like mystical.
Magic.
Yeah, magic or like superhero shows is like that there's a villain, and that's always the thing is like there's a villain and the whole season is to defeat it, which is a formula that just happens with those kinds of things, but it's hard like working with the same formula every single season but changing it enough so that it's exciting to the viewer. And yeah. And then how far did you get in it?
I don't remember.
Did
I
you
got
get-
as well. How far do you think I got?
I don't know, but did you get to
Guess.
Did you get to to Emma being the dark one?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah.
I like that in theory. I think part of it was poorly done. Also, their visual effects never got better. They never got better.
That's the tea.
That's the actual tea.
Sis.
They like season 1 you're like, "Oh, these effects are kind of not great."
But they'll get
But they'll
better.
get better. They don't.
It's really
And it's
not great.
it's not great.
Like characters are holding like fireballs, and it's like
Yeah. Like there's whenever someone would be walking in Regina's castle, like the ground would be like moving.
yeah,
Because they're
That
like
bad?
it's really
It's-
bad.
Ooh. Yeah,
Ooh,
'cause,
I
like,
kind of want
half
to watch
of-
it just to see that now.
half
Yeah.
of it is
I'll
spent
watch
like
it
in a
again with you.
magic world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and none of it. That part is like real.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
That's
However,
funny.
like most of the men are fine.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Nope.
Come on, he's
How
Nope.
old is he?
Old.
Like 70, I'm guessing?
He's like 50.
Makes sense. It's your type.
I would like to rephrase it. That is not my type. I am. I'm available.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Not to you.
Do you even know
50-year-olds,
his
though.
name?
Rumpelstiltskin.
No, his actual name.
The actor's name?
Yeah.
No. I'd never looked it up. I don't actually think he's.
I forgot it, but I feel bad.
His name is Rumpel.
Nope.
Stiltskin.
Nope. No. But and then the last season was basically the first season, but or at least the premise of it was the first season, but like a generation ahead.
Yeah. And
So
wasn't it
in
gender
front of-
swapped? Henry was Henry little
Henry was
person a girl?
Emma's character. Yeah, well, kind of.
Okay.
It was just like, because in the first season, Henry's the son, and he goes and he finds his mom and brings her to Storybrooke, and she's like, he's like, you need to save us. And then in the 6th season, Henry's daughter goes and finds him and is like, are you Henry Mills? Which is like what Henry said in the first one. He was like, are you Emma Swan? And he's like, yeah. And then she's like, you need to come back to Storybrooke. And that's all I know about it because I've only seen the trailer. But it's just like, that's a weird step to take.
Yeah.
You're like
Yeah.
5 seasons in generally one timeline and then you jump. And I think that's partially because they
didn't
were
have any
kind of
more
forced to end.
How
Yeah.
many seasons are there?
6.
Okay.
Which stinks because this is like, I think something that a lot of people who write for TV or like people who make TV shows try to not do is they try to like, they're like, oh, we're gonna make the show like go on forever, which I can understand that because you're like, I want a job and I want to keep writing this. However, like, you are making a story and you can't just like have a story go on and on and on. It needs an end. It needs a conclusion. You need to know how things how things are able to be tied up. And that's what stinks about this, is that it just kept going on. They didn't know how to like tie it up nicely and like actually give a nice narrative to the whole thing.
Yeah. But unfortunate. Good premise.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
It's how far do you think it's like good?
I think 4.
4. Okay. Is
I
that
think
the
like
Frozen?
Frozen was like the last
Yeah.
thing for me. I also
Frozen.
binge watched it in high school, and that was just a lot because you're just like taking in like all these plot twists, and I'm like, this is insane. But it was cool. But
That was
I
me and my
think-
mom's show for a little bit. We watched that together. Shout out to you, Mom.
Yeah, I only got as far as like Aladdin began, and then I was like, nope.
I didn't even know Aladdin was in it.
Aladdin.
We should watch all of it.
Yeah, because
should
we have
watch
time for
all of
that.
it. Yeah, we do.
We didn't even have time to make the podcast until now.
Anyway,
Can I talk about mine now?
please do.
All right.
I'm very intrigued to
Yeah.
hear what Marley's has to say about this.
How long are we at right now?
We're at 31 minutes.
Oh, I thought we were like 50. I don't know why.
No, we're good.
Time means
Also,
nothing.
Robert Carlyle's the name of Rumpelstiltskin.
Shout out
so-
to you, sir.
Robert Carlyle.
Also,
You were my
Josh Dallas
favorite.
is so attractive.
I'm so interested to hear what you
Okay.
have to say.
So,
So
hello,
for
America.
little like premise, I've just finished season 3, but
Of Stranger
Marlisa
Things.
of Stranger Things, and Marlisa and I have not yet debriefed.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh,
I
yeah,
know
this
that
is
she has
live reactions.
She has a lot of opinions on the end, and she did not tell me yet, and so I'm interested to hear what she has to say.
I feel really bad about the fact that this is one of the most prominent things that I feel I could have written better. And let me just say, Natalie and I, we came up with this idea like just because, like, I think it was even last night or 2 nights ago, we were just saying like I can't, like, we are not people who are always like, this movie could have been better. Like, we don't think
We're
I
not
don't
snobs.
Yeah, we're not. I
hope.
don't think.
Well,
at least I
to
don't
an
feel like we
extent.
come across as
you
that
don't.
way. And I'd never want to
not.
think that I could do something better. I love Stranger Things, but I just didn't like season 3. I will say this though, Scoop's team was my favorite part. I loved
they were
I loved
great.
Steve.
Yeah,
I love
that-
Robin. What was
Gayton. Oh, I don't
Dustin,
know.
and then what was the
Priya-
little girl's name?
Her real
Her
name's Priya.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, Priya. They were my favorite part. I have 3 points that I want to bring up about what I did not enjoy about this season. The first and most important one is all of the Russian stuff. I did not like it at all
I
because
wholeheartedly agree with
it
that.
didn't make any sense.
It didn't.
How did this small
Erica.
town? How did this small? Oh, Erica. Okay,
Erica, because you can't say America without Erica.
that's right. That was so. My dad
She's great.
died.
I died. It was
She's
so
great.
good.
It was so
That was
funny.
such a good line. I was
But-
like, did they make her name that so that they could say that, or did they figure it out? Because either way, they're genius.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, go.
So, how did this small town in Hawkins, Indiana?
Just a small.
And I'm going to say this because people have brought this up, not to me, because I don't talk to people on the internet, but like I've read people
Lies.
like bring up this complaint and then they're like, well, what about this? People say, oh, like you're saying how could they not notice all this Russian stuff, but they didn't even notice Hawkins Lab. That's because Hawkins Lab wasn't in Hawkins. It wasn't in the middle of Hawkins A. There wasn't like hundreds of people going there every day, B. And C, that's all I have to say.
And see,
But you always
there's
need
no
3
C,
points.
but still.
I just like I think that there's a huge difference between because did you know that Stranger Things is kind of based off of like a real thing that happened
Yeah.
in a small rural town. There was a
Loosely
small town.
based.
Yeah, very
Loosely
it's like
based.
not the Demogorgon or anything. But
no, that's real.
that's the only real part. There was like a small town in the East Coast and there was a science or like a
Yeah,
government lab
Yeah.
that was nearby it, and so it was kind of like
hiding all this stuff. No
Yeah.
one knew what was happening.
so that's the thing. So
Standy
that's like
camps.
Yeah.
that can happen. have you ever heard of a Russian lab being in a mall?
Well, and even
No,
if
because it's
they-
hidden so well.
even if they made it like that, it made sense. They just didn't. They
Yeah,
didn't
they didn't
explain
at
it
all.
well enough. I was
Yeah.
still left confused at the very end,
They're
and I
bad
was
at
like,
that.
did I miss something? But so if they even if they had tried to make it fit into the storyline somehow, they still could have explained it way better or just made
yeah.
it make more sense. Because I kind of just felt like I started watching the season and then they were already trying to decode all of this like stuff, and I was like, what, where, why is this even happening? Like where?
Yeah.
It was just super confusing. It
was-
didn't fit.
Yeah.
And then they try to explain it by saying like, oh, it's like the elevator and they're oh, this is how they bring the supplies in. No, people would have
Yeah,
noticed.
and that whole thing, I was like, where are they? And this is huge.
they're
and
going
in a
hundreds
mall.
of
Yeah,
miles
no.
down. And they're like going like
It was
roller
too much of a stretch, and
Yeah.
that frustrates me when I can't like watch a show and be like, oh, I understand
Yeah.
how that could happen. There's a Demogorgon, and I could understand that because
Yeah.
it's like fits, but this thing was just like too much.
It's too
Yeah.
fantastical.
I think if they set it up better in the first 2 seasons, my thing is that I think that what they have is something really good, and it is unique. It was like the first thing that was like kids being the main characters. But I don't think they had like a long-term plan. So every season they're
Yeah.
kind of just like, okay, like what do you got? What do you got?
What's the next
Yeah.
big
I
thing?
really
Yeah.
don't think they thought it would
So,
get this big.
yeah.
And so starting out, they were kind of like, we'll see, but we don't know who's really going to watch
Yeah.
this. And now that it's so big, they're just trying to throw in all these things that
Yeah.
don't really make sense.
Yeah. So if I mean, I don't know, maybe like they've been doing that now with like season 2 and season 3. And so maybe season 4 will be great because
hope
like
so.
we'll have like, they'll be like, oh, because in season 2, because of like, they'll start using the plants they put in the first season.
Yeah, I've watched some, I'm not going to say any of it now, but I've watched some like conspiracy theory videos of like what might happen too. And a lot of it is really cool of how they go back to the seasons and they take all of this stuff and they kind of like, which they might not even do. It could just be one person saying they should, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of ways that they can do that,
Yeah.
that I would hope that they would try to in season 4. Because I feel like it's one of the last seasons, if not the last.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope not. I do want to see them like redeem what's happening.
Yeah.
This is my second
Anyway, yeah.
issue. This is my second and most important.
Second's the best.
I do think, side note, I think Stranger Things season 2 is the best season. I love season 1. I think it goes 2, 1, 3 because I don't like season 3. Anyway, okay, this is my second issue. I think that all of the characters, except for Steve and Dustin, I'm not including Eric and Robin because they weren't really in. Robin wasn't
They
in
were only
the second
in-
season at all. Erica was barely in it. So
Yeah.
they're basically new characters. I think that all the characters started at the same place that they were at in season 2. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I will explain it. Okay. To all of you who don't understand what I'm saying, this is what I'm saying. Peasants. Hello, America. Okay.
America.
What I'm
no,
saying by that is like, I think it's especially prominent with Eleven and Hopper. I love Eleven and Hopper. Hopper's my favorite character. Shout out to David Harbour.
Shout out to David Harbour's
Hey,
arms.
PG.
SNL skate.
Everyone go look up David Harbour's arms.
and
Do
have
it.
a good day. Anyway, yeah, I love Hopper.
You just told your parents to go look and do.
Do it. Go ahead.
Do it.
Okay. go.
Anyway, so season 2 of Stranger Things ended with 11 being this super awesome. I loved her look. I know you didn't really like
Slick
her.
I
back
hated
hair.
that look.
You didn't like
so
her look.
much.
I loved it. I think it was
Gross.
super cool. She was confident in her abilities. She was sure of herself. She didn't really care what anyone else thought.
Was she?
She
sure
was-
of herself?
Yes, I totally think that.
Really?
She,
Yeah.
she defeated almost the Mind Flayer.
Yeah, that's true.
And she like
She closed the gap.
season 3 starts with her being this lovey-dovey,
Yeah.
like, and I can understand them being like, well, she's a teenage girl. She was a teenage girl in season 2, though. It's like, she was, I mean, I don't know how
Well,
old their
she
kids are
was,
supposed
like,
to be.
I think like yeah.
She
She
was
was
not.
not.
She was a youngin.
Not in season 2.
Oh, in season 2.
Season 2.
She
She was like
she was
13,
a year
12
older.
or 13.
She was like a year older.
She
So
wasn't
she was
11.
like.
She wasn't 11 when she was 11. No, I'm kidding.
She was
I don't know.
young.
She's like 16 now. Yes.
Wait, so
Yeah.
is that what you had like you didn't really like that part of that she was so invested in that relationship and didn't seem to have anything else really like that she was focused on, or just that you saw Dustin and Steve had changed a bit from the second season and she kind of hadn't?
I just think that, like, why wasn't 11, why isn't, you know, because, like, season 1 ends and in season 2 the characters are, like, different. And they've grown from, like, what they learned in season 1 and the things that they went through. But at the start of season 2, like, characters also, they changed and they were different now. Season 3 starts and it's like they were back to how they were in season 2. And when I'm not saying that it's wrong for 11 to have wanted to, like, be with Mike, because that's what they were trying to do all throughout season 2. Like,
Right.
they wanted to be with each
See,
other,
yeah.
to like be in the same room. And I do understand that, like, they're teenagers and they're hormonal, and so they're gonna be, like, you know, getting all and, like, you know, pubescent and such. But I definitely think that it was like the 11 that we got to at the end of season 2 stopped existing, and she had to relearn what she learned in season 2 by the end of season 3. And even then, it was like not, I don't know, it just felt like she was a different person, and I didn't really get it. And especially with Hopper too, because I had so many things about Hopper. That was my third point. I put Hopper weird. Because
Wait, before you move on to that,
Okay. Yeah.
about their relationship, I also had a little bit of, not a problem, I just wasn't a huge fan of how they
Where's
kind of, like, made up in a sense.
11 and who?
Wait,
Mike.
what?
Oh, 11 and Mike.
Well, because they're in this whole thing of,
Oh,
like, he
yeah.
lied to her, and yeah, they're, like, fighting this thing in the hospital, but there's no conversation really about what happened or no, and I
Oh,
get it
yeah.
that they're young, but I feel like they kind of just, he like offers her an M&M and she smiles, like, that's not how it works.
Mhm.
It's the beginning of healing.
Yeah, but I just wish that they had kind of talked a little more about it in the sense of, you know, to show too, maybe like character development. They're growing up a little. They know how to handle that. Well, not know, but they're just trying to figure it out. It
Yeah.
felt like they
Yeah.
weren't trying at all to figure it out. They kind of just wanted them to be okay like that because they had to fight this thing. I wish there was a little more of like discovering,
Yeah.
you know, from both sides of like,
Yeah.
why is she mad and what can I, you know.
And
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why is because there was so much that they were doing with season 3.
Right.
With
with
the Russian base
the Russian
and everything,
yes, and
like with the
everything else.
mind
They didn't have
flayer.
time, yeah.
Susie.
And
Yeah, I kind of
oh my gosh, that was the best part.
okay, but my biggest thing too is I forget their names. The other relationship, redhead
Oh,
girl,
yes.
redhead Lucas.
Max and Lucas.
Max and Lucas.
I hated that because literally they spent no time on it at all. They're basically fighting the whole entire season, and the last episode they're like together and like arm in arm, and nothing, no time
It's
at all
toxic.
spent on those two. Literally not anything of substance. And I was just like, I get it because a lot of stuff is happening, but also if too much stuff is happening, that there's just this whole thing that it was a big part of season 2, like him kind of, you know, him and Dustin's thing with, and like nothing happened really in season 3 at
Yeah.
all, like literally nothing.
They don't
I think
revisit a
They
lot.
didn't revisit it
which
at all.
I think that they weren't focusing on the things that they should have been focusing
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I think they should have kind of realized that the Russian base wasn't working
Yeah.
and went
And
a
because
different
also
route.
we got to know the characters so much better in season 2 that we wanted to see more of that instead of maybe all these new things happening. And while the new characters were good, like we also really wanted to see the new relationships of the characters we already loved.
I think if they just took
So.
the Russian base thing, because they had
Yeah, I
enough stuff with
agree.
the mayor. Who do you know who the mayor was?
Yeah.
Have you seen Princess Bride?
Yeah, but I would not remember
Oh,
who's in it.
He's the main
He's-
character.
Are you kidding?
Yeah,
No.
that's How do you say his name?
Carrie Hughes.
Carrie Hughes. He's like a big
Shut
80s
up.
person. So that was really cool.
I did not know that.
But anyway, and they had like the whole summer aspect was so cool. I just wish that they had taken out the Russian thing. Maybe they could have, because I think what they're going to do is like, first of all, Hopper's alive. Fight me. I think he's alive. I will destroy anyone who disagrees with me.
I
Okay, no one
disagree. I'm
disagrees.
kidding.
So
I agree, but you know what I said? Like,
Yeah. it's a cop out.
it's a cop out. It's
Such a cop
I
out.
hate when that stuff happens
It
because
happens all
I'm
the time.
so and it happens so often. I hate when it happens because I'm happy that they're alive because I love the character, but I'm also so upset because I'm like, you made us go through all these emotions and you killed them off. Like, just kill them off
Yeah.
and make it emotional, but don't bring them back because like he's not gonna survive that.
Yeah.
And if he does, it's just like, then why even in the first place do it? It's
Yeah.
like, it's not a telenovela.
Yeah.
You're not bringing people. It's not it. I just hate when they do it. And
Yeah.
for me, it's like, I wish he stayed dead. But I also
Yes.
love him so much that I'm kind of happy they're bringing him back, but also not for the story. Like, selfishly, I love it.
Natalie, you've been wanting to say something for
I
a
have
little
3
bit.
things.
Okay. Did you write them
There's-
down?
Yeah. I didn't want to forget them. Okay, so first of all, I agree with everything you say. Like, it makes complete sense. I think that I like certain parts of them that you said that you didn't like, but I like them because of what they could have been. Like,
yeah.
I liked that 11. I liked that 11 and Mike were having that little thing. I thought it was really cute. It didn't fit, but I liked that they were showing that 11 is like
A teenager
growing
girl.
as a kid,
Yeah.
as like she's not like this experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked that part of it, and I think it's just because like that was more of like my preferred genre was like a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just said Russian bass kind of okay because
What?
I think it didn't work. It makes
Yeah.
no sense.
Yeah.
I understand what they were trying to do with it because it would have been weird if they went season 1 Hawkins, season 2 Hawkins, season 3 Hawkins, season 4 not in Hawkins.
Mm-hmm.
They needed something to be like, okay, what's gonna pull this out of Hawkins?
That's so true. Yeah.
But it just didn't.
It
It
wasn't
was
the
just
right
like,
way.
Bloop, there it is, and you're like, what?
It had potential.
There's
Yes.
definitely ways they could have done it, and
Not
that
kinetic.
like, and I can think of them, and that's when. Listen, this is what I said last night.
Listen.
When I
We need
when
to be
I
in
say
their room, the writers' rooms.
when I say that I can do something better, please don't think that I think I'm so good.
I just think you're
Really,
so
no. I just think that like you gotta kind of be like, oh,
Yeah.
Marley, so thinks you could do it better. We gotta work on this, like you know.
No, you
No,
got
you're
good
just
things to
using what
say.
you've learned to
Yeah, I
see.
guess.
Yeah.
Everyone can
You're
have an
fine.
opinion. We don't mean to insult.
Yeah.
If by any means,
Oh,
like someone
yeah.
who worked on this listens to it, we all
Yes,
enjoy what
yes.
we're talking about. There's just we have opinions on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your
like
third
I'm
point?
not bad. I'm not like I wasted all this time on
No.
all of these movies. Like I'm
still love
glad
'em.
I've been able to watch them and I enjoyed most of it. It's just like there are things that I wish were different, but it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
My third thing was just like that they I think need to find a balance of kind of I mean what you were saying, like they need to be able to show that these characters are growing in a way that fits,
Yeah.
not just being like action, oh there's like some weird sitcom stuff happening,
Yeah.
action, like it needs to be a balance of action and adventure
Mm-hmm.
but also depth, because then you're like, oh, these characters are learning, they're growing, they're different
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Because what's the point of us watching this whole thing if they're just gonna be the same,
Mm-hmm.
other than just like a good time?
Yeah. I think that's like for me that's why season 2 worked so well, because they had like the backbone of season 1, and season 1 was like pretty much all like action, and you really you get to know the characters, but in season 2 it's like they take a break for like the first few episodes and they're like, here's like them just in their day-to-day lives, like this is what it's like,
yeah.
and this is what it's like after all this crazy stuff happened, but at the same time like we're meeting these people just living their lives and trying to forget what happened in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then season 3 was just like, here's more. And the thing, like the characters that they brought in, except for Murray, I don't like Murray. I really don't like him. I think that
How's
what he
the-
said with Joyce and Hopper was super fun.
Who's my
That
He's
was
the bald
great.
guy.
You guys just need
Hey,
Cut
PG, PG. Car seat, look it up on season.
Oh,
And
the
then-
Russian translator?
Yes.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
also Alexei's my boy. God bless America. I love him so much.
He's not even American.
He's not
R.I.P.
American.
But
I
he
thought you were American.
I love Robin. I loved Erica. I loved Alexi. Didn't really care for Murray, but he's not really new, so it doesn't matter. But I
You can call him.
I just wish there was a balance. And I do think
Yes.
that the Russian base could have worked. If it was in a smaller aspect, like, you can still make it work in the mall. Don't make it where it's like hundreds of thousands of feet below the Earth's surface.
So convoluted.
It was, and yeah, like
Convoluted
they
is
also needed
harsh.
they needed a way to get Hopper like
Yeah.
out of there. And plus, like, you know, Russians, the 80s, like that was a whole like conspiracy in and of itself.
And it's all true.
Well, and now they're going into the time where it's like Chernobyl, and so
Yeah.
they could do so much with that.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited, but I
Wait,
am excited for
You
season
said
4.
you liked the relationship with Robin and Steve.
I really liked that.
Yeah.
I liked her character because I liked
Bathroom scene, man.
that one of the reasons why I stopped watching Once Upon a Time is that there was an episode, I don't remember who it was with, but it was an episode where they were introducing
Mulan and
Little Red Riding Hood.
Riding Hood.
And they were introducing like an LGBT like storyline, and I didn't like it because it was so obviously forced. You could tell that like an executive like marched into the TV writers room and was like,
Representation.
we need representation, like write it. And I think that's just so rude in any aspect.
yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. Like I would be insulted about that if they randomly put like a Christian in it or like a Hispanic person in it, and it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So with Robin's character, it made sense, and I wasn't like, what? I was. It was very heartfelt, and it allows like I just really enjoyed how. I really enjoy it when there's like different. I don't know how to say this, but like I enjoy when there's aspects that I might not agree with, but I still really appreciate it, and I can like really see the heart in what they're doing. And I loved Robin's character, and it was, to me, I actually read that Robin wasn't originally supposed to be gay. She was like, they just kind of realized it like as they kept going, and they were like, it would make so much more sense if like when Steve is like telling her like, hey, I like you, that she then says, oh, well, actually, like, I'm gay. So, and it made sense. It didn't, and once I read that, that's when I was like, yeah, that's not a studio executive running into the TV writer's room and demanding representation. That's them, like, realizing that
with the story.
It made sense with the story, and the characters, like, were able to grow from it. You know? I loved it, and I can't wait to see what they do with it, because I think it's going to be really fun. And I love Steve. Steve is, I think now...
I feel so bad for him.
I know. I think now because Hopper isn't in it, but he will be.
For now.
I think Steve right now is my favorite character. And I love his relationship with Dustin. It's funny because I was a youth intern this summer, and it was like the scene where Dustin comes back and like and Steve sees him and he's like, Henderson, and they did that was like my relationship with a lot of the high school and junior hires that I was with. And I saw like on a Christian meme account someone put like every youth pastor with their
That's so funny.
people, and it's just so I love their relationship. I think it's so fun.
Wait, Natalie, who's your favorite character?
I don't know. I don't think I have one. I'm just stressed because we're like getting up to an hour.
Woo!
So
Welcome back to season 2.
I think
Season 3 is going to be the worst one because in terms of Stranger Things. I'm kidding. I hope.
the Demodog that we see at the
Oh my gosh. Good choice.
I don't know.
Fair.
I haven't really thought about it. I discovered that Stranger Things isn't really my genre. So I'm not like a super big fan of it just because I'm like, not that I'm like, it's terrible. I'm just like, I can recognize that that's not the kind of thing that I normally watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Who's your favorite character, Molly? Just
I have no idea.
because you don't remember their names.
That's true.
By the way, she doesn't like Bob. She didn't like Bob.
Was not a fan of Bob. Sorry to whoever's listening.
Roast her. I'm kidding.
Please don't.
We have to
We'll
finish.
find you.
Bob is the best character. Thank you guys so much for
No.
listening. Molly,
Next week will be
quiet.
story time.
Story
so
time.
Buckle up.
We're gonna have fun.
Yay.
Closing
Thanks for having me
words.
on, guys.
Thanks.
This
for
was so
being
fun.
on.
Closing words.
Love hearing your expertise.
David Harbour's
I was gonna say that. David Harbour's arms.